Hello and welcome to Zee, where we share everyday stories with you, everyday women. Are you ready to hear heart-to-heart key issues that we all face, no matter where we are in the world? So grab your cup of tea and let's welcome your host, author, international speaker, reinvention strategist, and woman that's full of faith in God and mankind, Dr. Zee Podcast.
We love this. Hello, everyone. This is a good one today. Welcome. Happy Friday. And welcome to A Cup of Tea with me, Dr. Z. This is a funny one today because, as usual, when anything wants to go wrong, it goes wrong. But as always, I am never perturbed. Welcome to the show. It's so wonderful to have you. This is episode 20. I can't believe it. Consistently since December the 8th last year. We had a little bit of a blip at the beginning of the year when I lost my mom and stuff like that. But we are here live and direct in your front room, in your sitting room, in your car, in your private room. I won't say it loud. I don't know. You might be sitting on your blessed assurance, listening, wherever it is you are around the world. Welcome to A Cup of Tea with me, Dr. Z. Do we have a blast for you today? Oh my days, we really do. Today we're going to be talking about, the question I have for you is, are you self-aware? Are you self-aware? Are you self-aware? Your purpose, your brand. And I have an amazing, phenomenal guest. But before I bring her, away from the green room and I can see her looking at me, wondering what I'm going to say about her, getting ready. I'm going to get her to unleash her onto you in a minute. But I just want to tell you a little bit about her. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about why I do this. A cup of tea with Dr. Z really was born out of my desire, my heart's desire to really ensure that every woman's voice is heard. Either your voice is heard through the people that we bring onto the show, or your voice is heard through my story, or your voice is heard through maybe some anecdote, or your voice is heard. You're not invisible. You matter. You're important. You are enough. I don't care whether you are a single mother, whether you're unmarried, remarried, never been married, whatever your sexuality, whatever it is, that's, whatever color you are, that's not what it's about. It's if you are a woman, I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel heard. I want you to know that you are an everyday woman just like I am, and you are doing extraordinary things. So it's about spotlighting women just like you. And like I always say, I could be coming to a room, a sitting room, a front door, a hall, a next door neighbor near you, and you could be my next guest. A Cup of Tea with Dr. Z, really about spotlighting amazing, phenomenal, everyday women like you and me. Now, my next guest, another special guest. Every guest I have on this show is exceptionally extraordinary and special and everyday-ish, like we all are. But they are also special because they give up of their time, they give up of their expertise, of their stories, of, their passion for women and for young people. And my next guest is no different. Her name is Althea Blake. In fact, this is her second time on the show, actually. Althea Black. Now, she wears many hats, just like me, many hats, but predominantly, she works with young people. She helps to transform their personal branding, their self-awareness through her, deceleration framework using entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, and employability so that young people can strengthen their values, their EQ, which stands for emotional intelligence, and their resilience. So it's ESG, #ESG. She has a wide range of over 20 years of working, not just in the private sector, in the corporate world, but also working with schools and young institutions, helping to enhance their success and transform, especially those young people who are underperforming. So from underperformers into excellence. She manages complex projects and teams for nonprofits as well. And she also runs a global corporate brand association. She's worked for UCL. She's worked for Save the Children. She's done consultancy with NCVO, Facebook, Merrill Lynch. The list is long, but fundamentally, she is just like you and I. She is an everyday woman doing extraordinary things. And I'm so chuffed, if I can say. She's from Essex, so I use the word chuffed. I'm so chuffed to have her on the show. She's laughing. I can see her. So enter, drum roll, wherever it is that you're watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, you're watching live on YouTube, or you're watching, I don't know, on Instagram, wherever it is that you're going to watch this on the replay. Get your cups of tea or your bottles of wine. I won't tell anyone. I won't say if you don't say. Get your glasses of water, whatever it is that you have. Get ready, curl up on a Friday evening. If you're here in the UK, or if you're in America, it could be afternoon, morning. If you're on Pacific time, it's probably about 11 a.m. Wherever you are around the world, Australia, probably it's the next day. Curl up, relax, and join us for a cup of tea with me, Dr. Z. Let's bring her in. Yay. Hello, and welcome to the show, Althea.
Thank you so much for having me again. And what an amazing intro. And I don't mean my bio, I mean just saluting everyday women. And when I was just listening to that, I just thought, when we were talking about branding today, I thought that it's just so you. Every day you are there behind everyday women, supporting them, lifting them up, and just being their cheerleader, even when they can't be their own. So, I love what you're doing, and I'm just so grateful and feel very privileged to be on the show and on your platform. So thank you so much for having me, Dr. Z. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's absolute joy and honor to have you and see you again. I've been following you very, very closely, and I see what you do as well. So likewise, I see the way that you pour into young people. I see the way that when everyone else feels that they need to be discarded, you're like, no. There is a unique treasure in this young person. This young person will soon be a young adult. From a young adult, they will be our leaders, And so I like the fact that you're starting at that stage where they're young, and you're making sure that you work on their mindset, on their personal brand, their self-awareness, their emotional intelligence. And you are also telling them, even when the systems fail them, you are telling them that they have not failed. I love the work that you do. I have to shout out to, I always get it wrong, but Roots Pod Academy. Yay! I got it right.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's an absolute joy to have you again. And let's go straight in, because, we can talk forever and we'll be here till tomorrow. So, the title of today's show, episode 20, episode 20 is really about, how self-aware. So it's a question to everyone, a question to myself as well, a question to you is, how self-aware are you? And what does that mean when we're talking about self-awareness in terms of your purpose and your focus, your passion, and your self-awareness? So I'll break it up. When we're talking about self-awareness, what does that mean to you?
So self-awareness is really your ability to really understand yourself and understand yourself clearly, but it's not limited to just what you think about yourself. And sometimes what we think about ourselves is actually quite bit tunnel vision, so to speak. So it's really trying to understand who we are, but also how other people see us, and then how we fit into the wider landscape. How do we fit into the world? How do the world see us? What are the influences there? So that's kind of like self-awareness in a nutshell. And many of us think that we're self-aware, but actually we're so used to the little world that we live in that we think we're perfect. I mean, quite frankly, surely I am perfect. But and also so are you. But there's so much that there is to learn. And I always say it's really about being a work in progress.
It really is. And I know many people from some particular communities that are really big on their children excelling. They don't actually like when Ofsted, goes to schools and they say best, how do they say, not value added. There's something, it's something about best, how do they put it? So not best performing, but, something they've grown in their trajectory.
Okay.
I've forgotten there's a word they use, because I know every time
they always say about potential. They always say
yes,
to their potential, not actually at their potential. That is one of the key things that they always say as well.
And I guess just from what you were saying, it reminds me of earlier on in the week. I talked about it on LinkedIn, but earlier in the week I had a conversation with my youngest daughter, 23, and we were just talking. She was offering me some chicken. Chicken wings, actually, peri peri. And she said, "Oh, Mom, do you want some chicken wings, peri peri?" I'm like, "Oh, whatever you have, leave some for me, and whatever you leave over, I'll have it later on." And fast forward about an hour later, we had a conversation about it again, and it occurred to me, it literally dawned on me that how you do one thing, T. Harv Eker says this, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And like you rightly said, Althea, we think we are perfect, so we don't have anything to worry about. We don't have any blind spots. Everyone else is wrong. We are perfect. If everyone behaves the way that I behave, the world will be a better place. And someone's actually slighted me, or someone's spoken to me in a particular way. But sometimes it can be when we are not self-aware. So it's the energy that we give off. So for me, just saying, leave some leftovers, I'm basically saying that I'm not worth having the top part, not having why should I have the leftovers? And I'm, as a coach, I might be saying, well, I don't say this in my professional life. I don't say this as a leader. I don't say this in church. I don't say this, but what you give off is what you give off. So I had to do some self-reflection, and I thought I'd share this because this will help someone else. Self-reflection to think, oh, this is a blind spot that I didn't even know. And I'm well in my 50s, I'll stop there, and I thought, oh, wow. Oh, wow. So I've been putting myself at the bottom of the pile without actually realizing. So that was a good lesson for me about self-awareness. And we learn lessons every day. We are works in progress. And it's about actually taking the time to be intentional about looking inward. It's not always someone else's fault. Look inward, So and I just want to kind of use that to frame this conversation in terms of, the question is, how self-aware are you? So forget about everyone else. You might be listening at home, in America, in Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica, Trinidad, all the different places around the world where this streams live, and where those that listen to it on Spotify. And you might be thinking it's somebody else's fault. It's my boss's fault, my husband's fault, my daughter's fault. They spoke to me in a particular way, or why are they behaving like this, or what energy am I giving off? But it really could be about you. So back to you, Althea. Let's talk a little bit more about this self-awareness, how it affects your brand.
Yeah, it literally affects everything. And in particular, as you were just talking about the example of the chicken, your communication as well. We are we look introspectively, but not enough. But we are so consumed with ourselves that we don't take a moment to stop to realize how our behaviors are actually affecting other people. But not only that, even though we talk about self-awareness, it's often spoken about in a really negative light. Oh, that person's not self-aware, for example. But actually, it's a really positive thing as well. So the fact that you even stopped and took stock of the conversation that you had and thought, hold on, why am I putting myself like the tail and not the head? We're supposed to be the heads and not the tail. Why am I putting that there? And although you say you're a coach and that's not how you're definitely not doing that with your clients, and we do behave, how we behave in one area of life is usually how we behave in all areas. sometimes the exception is, sometimes it is situational, and in particularly mothers with their children. It doesn't matter the age, but we will always put ourselves on the back foot to allow them to be the ones who's going to eat the last morsel of food. So they're going to have the first offering of the food, and we're going to be left with the last morsel. So often it's really just recognizing how important we are. What are our values? Do we take time to take stock on our values? Because again, even our values, if we're not familiar with what they are, we're forever being compromised in every situation and every environment that we walk into. And when you don't know who you are, you then behave like a chameleon and you start to conform to everybody. And this is where the people pleasing also comes from as well.
Yes.
That you go into an environment, you forget your values, and then you start adjusting, aligning with not even aligning, you just transfer all of yourself into somebody else's values and you forget who you are. So it's so important, and self-awareness is a work in progress. So it's something that you just need to be working on every single day.
It's very interesting, the point, especially this last point you made, in terms of being a chameleon and morphing into whatever you feel is required for the day. And what normally happens, and this will speak to you if you're listening right now or you listen to this on the replay, do some self-reflection, even write it down, because this is all part of boundaries as well. The boundaries that you don't have are the boundaries that people will break. And what typically happens is that when you try to be a people pleaser, I've been a people pleaser all my life, so I get that. You want to make sure that you make people happy, and that's fine. It's all right to be pleasant. It's okay to make people happy, but you have to remember it starts from here first. And so ask yourself, why are you a people pleaser, or why are you a people displeaser? Because you could be someone that hates people and you just want to fight everyone. But ask yourself, where is that coming from? And then the second thing you need to ask yourself is, when I behave in a particular sort of way, am I resentful with the results? Because if you're resentful with the results, then you shouldn't be there. And I'll give a good example. I don't know, as a mom, I like if you happen to be a mom or an auntie or a grandma, and you will find out that without meaning to, sometimes your boundaries are not the way they need to be. And so you'll say yes when you should be saying no, or you'll say yes with your mouth, but you're saying no with your heart. So I remember yesterday, I had parked my car somewhere in the evening, and my daughter had asked me, "Oh, I didn't see the car. Can I borrow the car? Where is it?" And I told her where it was. She took the car. I got back in the evening. There was no car where I parked it. I actually paid for parking as well. So I'm calling her and I'm like, "Where are you?" She said, "Where are you?" I said, "Well, I've just come out from the train station. Now, I can't really be here for long," sort of thing. It was quite late. Oh, she said, "I'll be a moment." I said, "What do you mean you'll be a moment?" I parked my car so that when I get out the station, I'll get into the car and drive home. But what's so funny with that is she could do that because she felt she could. But on the other side, I would not be able to do that to her. And if you're a parent listening, you would get this. I would not be able to do this to her. I dare not. I wouldn't even think of it. And so and then I had to ask myself, when I got to the station and I went and my car wasn't there, and I called and asked her where she was. "Oh, I'll be there. Give me 30 minutes. I don't have 30 minutes to wait. So, and then by the time we saw each other, what should really have happened is, "I don't really like what you did there. This is, but did I have that conversation? No, I didn't. Was I feeling resentful? Yes, because I'm thinking, okay, we have this conversation. We're going to have an argument. I don't want to, I'm. And so the reason I share these things from my heart is for you to know that we are everyday women. We're not some, even pop stars are everyday women. So we have blood just like you. We have the same blind spots, some things that we're working on, work in progress. But it's really, when you do something and you feel resentful afterwards, that's when you know that you need to be more self-aware about that particular act or omission. and put the right things in place. So back to you, Althea, because I know you were just rearing to go here.
Yeah, I think you're so right, and I think boundaries is one of those things that are so key. And you know, and sometimes we don't understand we don't understand our own boundaries, much less other people's boundaries, and this is why we find ourselves in situations. And I think you're spot on when you say, you know, you may do something to please somebody else, but then within you you feel this like fire burning inside you, where you're just, yeah, you're not happy with that situation at all. And it's for you to really, again, just find that strength. And it's easier said than done. So, again, it's for you to find the best way with the resources that you have. Everybody does the best they can based on the resources they have to be able to overcome that situation, because you're constantly going to find yourself within that situation. And as you say, yes, it might be your daughter today, it might be your boss tomorrow, it could be your client, it could be a supplier, and then you're just going to be constantly walked over, and then you're going to end up feeling very stressed, and God forbid it leads to burnout as well.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And so if you're listening or you listen on the replay, oh, you know what, pardon my manners, have you got your cup? I did do a brew for you.
Oh, thank you, please.
Yes, right,
yes, I am feeling a little bit parched.
I'm not going to say you look parched, because that would be rude of me, but
that's not like you.
Right.
Oh, can you? Got
Yeah,
that? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Got that.
Yeah. All right. Right. Oh, good.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Just I'm feeling a bit parched as well.
Oh, I should really have my little finger out with my little teacup here.
Look at you. Okay. All right. Okay. The queen. Okay. The queen's gone. So the king.
Oh, thank you for that. Lovely. Oh, just the strength.
Yes. Now, when you talk, you kind of forget you need to, rehydrate. So what I want people to do, some of the takeaways is have a moment and reflect and ask yourself, are you really self-aware? You can ask yourself some questions. There are lots of assessment, even free assessments online, lots of tools. There's a Johari test and there are other things where you can really ask other people what they feel about you, and you can do a 360 appraisal on yourself, your personality strengths, the things that you don't like doing, what are your triggers, what are the kind of things that make you either feel really upset or make you feel resentful. It's the resentment that really helps to show you that there are areas that are your blind spots. Someone say something to you and it makes you very defensive. I remember the other day, a very good friend of mine, no names mentioned, said to me that I can be a little bit precious. And I'm like, no, I'm not precious. I'm not precious. But I thought about it and I could say, well, yeah, I could see why you would think that, you'd be a little bit entitled, not in a negative way, but, it's nice to know what makes you tick, but it's also nice to know, or important to know, what doesn't make you tick. And this leads into your personal brand. So personal branding is not just if you have a business, it's not if you have, you have a firm, organizations, the police state. I don't want to talk about the police station, ambulance service, hospitals, people in your home. You have a brand that your family is known for. You have a brand your business is known for. You should have a brand you are known for. What do you stand for? What are your values? What are you projecting? And I'm going right back to the personal brand strategy. She's an expert in this area, especially when it comes to young minds. So tell us a little bit about that when it comes to thinking about being self-aware in terms of your brand and your purpose. How does that look like?
Yeah, well, I always say it's so important when you're looking at your personal brand. Firstly, what is personal branding? So I always say it's about what people say about you before you come into the room. And then it's what people say about you when you leave the room. Are they all saying similar things? If they're all saying similar things, this is your identity, your personal brand. And I always say it's very important that you write your own narrative. Don't allow others to write the narrative for you. And this is where you spoke about blind spots earlier. This is where blind spots come in, because there are things that you are just not aware of that everybody else around you sees. And it's those things. So although people will give you feedback, I always say feedback is very subjective. You can take it or leave it. But some of those things, they're going to stick, and you're going to think, oh, hold on. A few people who are not in similar groups are saying similar things. Maybe I should take this moment to really look into myself some more. So your personal brand affects you, whether you are a business owner, whether you are an employee, whether you are a mum or an individual just seeing somebody at a bus stop. What energy is it that you're giving off to people? What is that identity that you have and habits that you keep doing that are they good habits? Are they bad habits? All of these things are creating your brand. These are things that you are known for. I always use a particular fast food chain with a big golden arches. If I said the golden arches, you'd automatically know what it is. But this is what branding is all about. If I say golden arches, you'll know. If I say fast food, if I say hamburgers, if I say a particular brand of the name of the hamburger or etc., you'll know what it is. You'll know brand. And this is what they should say. They'd be like, oh, if someone said Dr. Z, oh yes, she's so well esteemed, she's bubbly, she's friendly, she's for the everyday woman. We should all be saying the same thing, because that is your brand. If you say it, people be like, oh yeah, that's you. I totally get that. You're congruent with who you are and what you do. And that's what's so important about personal branding. And often we separate the two. Yes, we're this one day and something else the next. And again, I mentioned about situational, and they talk about code switch and things like that. We sometimes in different situations, we do turn up a different way, but it's almost like in the same situations, we'll always turn up in the same way. In a particular environment, if I'm with my friends and family, yes, I might behave a different way with my clients, but I guarantee the clients are going to know the true me. They're going to hear the laugh eventually. They're going to see the version of me. The relaxed version of me is not less professional than the more conservative version of me, so to speak. I'm always going to come across in a particular way, and people are going to know me for that. So this is what personal branding is. It's being congruent across all different areas, so people really know who you are. They'll say your name and they'll be like, oh yeah, and you want them to smile. You want them to hear your name and smile. Who's not going to smile when they hear Dr. Z? Come on. This is the thing that's really important. And again, it's don't allow others to write your story.
Absolutely. I love that. Don't allow others to write your story. And I think, not even I think, I know this is also about taking responsibility, being accountable for where you want to go, being accountable for your purpose. So you have a purpose. If you don't know your purpose, and but if you can find out your purpose, and you can work with me, you can work with Althea. There are so many other people. You can just do some YouTube video. It doesn't matter, but there are lots of tools out there to find out your purpose. So we'll leave that to one side. But when we're talking about
there, Dr. Z, just as you just touched on purpose, I do want to say as well, if again, your branding is your identity. If you don't know who you are, how can you set plans and a vision for yourself? Because if you don't know who you are, I always say, well, how do you know where you're going?
Absolutely.
You make these plans and you'll get there and you'll be like,
am I there yet?
Yeah, am I there yet? Or I don't even like where I've ended up. This isn't me. And so you have to look into yourself to work out who you actually are before you can, start making those audacious goals and plans for yourself. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's a fantastic interjection. Thank you, Althea. And it's so true. You need to know who you are. You need to know where you're going. It's just like getting into a car. You drive a car. You get into the car and you just drive aimlessly, or you don't drive. You get on a bus and fair enough. When I'm owning up here. When you're younger, you get on a bus and you go wherever it goes and you don't pay. You're like the inspector comes and he finds you. You run away. That's not me. I can't believe I'm saying this live. You know, you get on the train, you go on the Victoria line all the way from Brixton all the way to Walthamstow and back. You know, no, that's different. But what I'm saying, in real terms, you know, you need to have an idea of your direction of travel. You see, I'm an everyday woman, you know, warts and all, Christian woman, warts and all. But anyway, you know, it's important to kind of know your direction of travel. And even if you're not quite sure, when you get there, you should be able to say, well, this isn't me. This is not in line. It's not in alignment with my values. It might be at that point you might discover values you didn't even know that you had. Definitely. But it's important for you to have a litmus test. It's important to have a kind of cookie cutter, a template for these are the things I won't allow, and these are the things I will allow. And as part of that, when you look at your personal brand and your identity, it's about who are you? Who are you? Who do you, you know, let your friends not define who you are. Let your family, dare I say, people say, how dare you say that? Yeah, but let your family not define who you are. You need to define who you are. And if this was a Christian show, I'd also touch on the fact that God, for those of us that are believers, you know, you look in the Bible and the Bible will tell you who you are. You are the head and not the tail. Don't even start me off because I'll take you to church. But what am I saying? Don't let anything outside you tell you who you are. Not your friends, not your family. You have to take responsibility for your identity, for your personal brand. And if you don't know, read the Bible if that's what you believe in, or do the work, or in addition, do the work that you need to do that will help you understand who you are a bit more. A good exercise, which is so easy to do, is just get a number of friends, and you touched on this already, a number of friends, lock them in a room, let them all get, you know, yellow stickies and write 1 or 2 sentences about you. No one's going to be looking at each other, and then you tot it up. You know, some people will say, oh, she's very grumpy in the morning. Some people, she's very, whatever it is that they say. And that gives you a little bit of an idea of who you are, or what you give off.
Yeah.
Or what you give off, or the face you give. Because we all have different faces, like you touched on. You know, but eventually the real you will emerge. So it's really important to be self-aware, because sometimes you might need to tone down something or bring out something depending on where you are. You know, but at the same time, as long as you know who you are, as long as you're aware of those blind spots, as long as you're aware, then you'll be able to bring down as and when, you know, is required. For instance, if you're at a funeral, you're not going to just start laughing, even if you're someone that has a sense of humor. Like you're not going to just, you know, they'll think you killed the man, you know, those sorts of things. So it's important that you would know how to behave, when to behave, and stuff like that. But when we're talking about purpose, we hear this word, this term bandied around all the time. And some of you might be sitting down right now and you're like, but Dr. Z, I don't know my purpose. I don't know my purpose. What are the things that you do when you wake up in the morning and it makes you smile? What are the kind of things that you do that you would even, if you weren't ever paid for it, you would come out and do it happily? You know, what are the things that you do that it makes your heart sing? What are the things that you do without actually thinking? So it's not a question. Sometimes there are learned behavior. This is not it's something that you were born to do. It's something that maybe you've learned. It's natural, second skin. That will help. That, you know, when you do that, that helps you to identify a little bit more about what your purpose is, and your purpose will be aligned with those things that make your heart sing, those things that make you feel that you could do it free of charge, those things that gives you a sense of fulfillment. A good example is Mother Teresa. Teresa was not a rich woman in terms of monetary value, but she was so rich in terms of what she gave to the world that we talk about her today. You know, she did what she did around the world without getting anything in return. She was happy to serve. The same thing with Nelson Mandela. The same thing with Viola Davis right now. On social media, you see Viola Davis talking so much about how to uplift the Black woman. She talks about it. She uses her platform to talk about young girls, big girls. She finds posts that you've never seen before. Some obscure post somewhere in Kenya or somewhere in Trinidad, and she shares it. So it's about something that you do without actually thinking twice. And I have to go back to you because what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, definitely. I think you are so right. And I really just had a couple more in terms of like people who are trying to discover their purpose as well. Again, it's those things that you're passionate about, when you're doing it and you forget that what the time is. You started at 10 a.m. and all of a sudden it's 10 p.m. You've barely got up to go for a bathroom break. You've not had anything to eat because you're so engrossed in what you're doing, because it's something you just enjoy and you really enjoy it. But equally, your purpose could be something that brings you so much pain that you want to see a change. It's something that you want to see a change because it causes you so much pain, whether it's something you've experienced for yourself or it's something that you're seeing others doing. You even see things even on climate change. So even if, there's just so many different things. For me, it's always going to be about the young people and for them. And I have a corporate well-being business. And for me, I keep saying my youth business should put my corporate business out of business, because if I'm bringing up the generation the way they should be and balancing their well-being through all the things I do, by the time they're into the corporates and in their senior executive roles, they should be so well balanced, perfect worlds and all of that. I won't be required to be coaching, etc. So, it's really about where is that pain point and where is that desire and the purpose. And sometimes you don't even recognize it. But when you look back, even into your childhood, you realize, oh my goodness. So for me, even entrepreneurship. So for even me, at the ages as young as 6, I was out there, at the ages of about 8 years old, I was out selling to neighbors. I used to pick flowers from their gardens, imagine someone took roses from my garden, I'd have a heart attack. All their pretty flowers, their roses, their tulips. I'd go home, wrap them up in newspaper, and then take them and go back, knock on their door and sell it to them, just so I could go and buy some sweets from the shop, And I didn't realize until I looked back, my goodness, entrepreneurship was something that was instilled in me from such a young age. And that is what I'm using now to really, as a vehicle for young people to help build their confidence and their communication skills and really raise their aspirations and let them know if there's a change they want to see, be that change.
I love that. And if you're listening now, or whether you listen to the replay, whether you listen today, tomorrow, next year, 20, 30 years in, when I'm long and gone, well, 50 years, I don't know, I want you to really hear that and hear that well. What are you passionate about? What is that thing that you do that you don't even know when the time passes? For me, it's always about meeting new people. As you were talking, I remember, someone's put entrepreneurship was embedded in you. Yes, it was. Yes, thank you so much for your lovely comments, Brepo. Hello, Wendy. Hello, Marcel. Welcome to the show. If I haven't mentioned your name, welcome to the show. I'm just, as I see, I mentioned, God, I sound like Pastor Jerry. As I see, I mention. But I don't know where that came from. But really, what do you do effortlessly? I remember for me, it was always being at school and meeting someone at the bus stop. So I would bring people home and say, hi, mommy, this is my friend. And my mom would say, your friend? Where did you know her from? Where? Are you in the same school? I'm like, no, I saw her at the bus stop. I saw her at the park. I was always picking up strays, all sorts of people. And it hasn't changed, not in the sense that I'm picking up strays, but in the sense that it's so easy for me to break down barriers. I don't even think twice. I just do it, when I'm out with my children, I'm like, oh God, here we go again. It's mom that's going to see someone that's crying on the train. I'm going to know where I just notice it around me. I'm an empath like that.
Yeah, definitely.
I like to help people. I'm a fixer.
Yeah,
but you can't fix everyone. I'm a fixer. So I'm learning as I get older that you need to wait to be invited to fix. So this is another thing about being self-aware. 20 years ago, once there was a problem, I'll go head first. Okay, what do we need to do? Let's fix it and everything. And I'll be so upset when you don't want it to be fixed. I'm thinking, doesn't she want help? Doesn't he want help? But as I've grown older, I'm like, I need to wait. That's my blind spot. You might be a fixed, you might be an empath and all that, but wait until you're invited. Wait until you've been invited into that space. Dr. Zena, I need help. And then you can help. And even when you're helping, you have to decide, you know, that we were talking about this the other day, the sort of temperaments, different people that you work with as a coach. Some people need hard coaching, strict coaching, hitting over the head, not that I hit anyone over the head. And other people are very delicate. So you need to coax them and guide them, you know, into where they should be going. So it's all different. And you know, it's key. What is that thing that you do that you could do this forever? You know, I like that point. That's a very, very good point. You know, oh my days, look at it. Time's going already. Okay, back to you. What kind of 3, 4, 5, 3 tips? Let's start with 3 tips. Your 3, because I give you 5 now, you're like Dr. Z, you know. As you can see, I don't these just happen organically. But what 3 tips do you think that you can give people that can go away to kind of figure out how to be more self-aware, figure out how they really show up in terms of their personal brand, and also figure out their purpose? So that's a kind of double, triple-barreled question.
I love that. You're gonna have to break that down a little bit for me. Okay, so
let's start with number 1. So the first thing is, one tip to help our listeners now or those on the replay in terms of how to be more self-aware.
Okay, so one of the things in terms of being self-aware, you can't do that by yourself. You definitely need to make a point. There are things that we know about ourselves that other people know about us as well, but there are equally things that we know about ourselves that other people just don't know. And Dr. Z mentions about the blind spot, and they're the areas that actually we don't even see them until someone highlights them for us. We'll never know. That is the area that we need to have less issues and challenges in, because that's what's affecting everybody else. And although it's not about everybody else, these things will affect you and your personality and who you are. And again, even as particularly as a business owner as well, you've got clients to serve, you've got suppliers to liaise with, you want to build good relationships, and ultimately you want to have a good relationship with yourself. So it's important that these blind spots are identified. So I call her the guru of self-awareness, a lady called Tasha Eurich. And she talks, and I think it's the dinner of truth, she calls it, where you just gather, and you even touched on it earlier, where you gather your friends together, a selection of your friends together, and you ask them, just tell me the truth. Just tell me some of the things that, you know, may irritate you, or some of the things that you feel that I'm not aware about. And some of the things may well shock you. And it was her, by her own example, why she gives it. And I can't remember what it was that she said, but she went out with her friends and they all told her all these truths about herself. And she was like, please, whatever. And then she was driving home with her husband. And she was like, can you believe, they said that she talks too much. These ladies were saying that I talk too much and I just don't hear anybody else's point of view except my own. And silence. Her husband didn't say a word. And she was like, did you hear what I said? It was like, And then she realized that he actually agreed with her. So it made her had to stop and really think about her own behaviors and some of the different scenarios that she was in. And she was like, yeah, actually, I think they do have a point. So that's one of the things that I would definitely say in terms of you're developing your self-awareness. And there's just another thing I just want to add, which I touched on earlier as well, about feedback as well, and about feedback being subjective. So you're going to get all these opinions from different people, and some people have things that they just want to get off of their chest, and and some people may share things and get things off of their chest because they're not in a particularly good place and good mood that day, and you've caught them at a bad time. So I always say feedback is subjective. Listen to it, take it away, take what you want to implement, and leave the rest. In fact, I don't call it feedback, I call it feed forward, because you are going forward with it. You're taking it and you're going to apply it in the future. And it's your choice of the parts that you want to and that you want to take with you.
That is so true, you know, and because that is so true. That is really, really true, because I think this is like a disclaimer. Don't think that because, you know, you need to be self-aware and you need to get people to tell you who you are and stuff like that. And if someone tells you something that is really completely off, you take it hook, line and sinker. Or even if they tell you something that's really negative and you think, oh, I can't change it, you know, be select, you know, handle with care. So handle the feedback with care. Be honorable enough to yourself to take feedback. So you need to be able to receive feedback, but also ask God, Holy Spirit, whatever it is that you believe in, to give you that discernment to know whether it's coming from a good place or whether it's something to cut you down. Because there will be people that want, okay, she feels too big, he feels too big, and they just want to cut you down at the kneecap. So that's really, thank you for mentioning.
And also, I do want to add, though, it could just be that they're having a bad day and it's not even about you. And sometimes they don't even recognize what they've even said to you. So, you know, people are really, really caught up with their own selves. You know, we have so much issues with, oh, but what will so-and-so think? No one cares. They're just so caught up in their own life and their own issues that they're like, oh, did I really say that? Oh, sorry, I must have been thinking of something else. And I just want to touch on the don't invite yourself when you're not invited, where you mentioned that as well, Dr. Z. Sometimes even when we're invited, have the discernment to decide, is this something I want to go to, or is this something I should be saying no to? Learn to say no more. We spoke about people pleasing. Learn to say no. No is a complete sentence.
Yes. And it's so funny. I know you've got two more, we're rounding up, but as you were speaking, I remember something that really spoke to me. When you are a leader, and hear me, everyone, when I'm talking about a leader, you don't have to be the CEO of some big multinational. You could be the leader of your home, you know, the leader of your church, the leader of your youth group, the leader of yourself. When you are a leader, you have to remember that sometimes you have to make difficult decisions and you have to decide what you let in and what you let out. And when you are a leader, even if people have negative opinions about you, if the majority listen to you and follow you, so you have the impact, influence, you know, that you need for that majority, whether it's a majority of one or your family or not, that's all that matters. You cut everything out. And the reason why I'm saying is there's a lovely man that I follow, beautiful man, you know, follow him, you know, he's very influential in my life. And there was, you know, a lot, social media can have some negative, there's a lot of negativity, not a lot in comparison to the impact, but there was some people saying some negative things, and he was vehement, he was stoic. And he was basically, you could say what you want, I'm not going to give a response to that. And that's how we need to be. Sometimes people will give you feedback that really isn't for you in any shape or form, whether they're coming from a bad place or whether they have had a bad day or they just want to be horrible. And you have to be able to say, no, it's not passing here. I'm not responding. I'm not going to take that on. I'm not going to, I like the words that you like to use. You're going to keep your peace. If it's going to affect your, keep it out.
Yeah.
All right. You've got two more.
Okay. What was the second one? You mentioned something about purpose. Tell me that one again, please.
So the next one was about your personal brand. So what tip would you give in terms of knowing how to recognize your personal brand in terms of your identity?
Okay, so your identity is really important. So again, I think we all have work to do when it comes to self-awareness. So don't base your personal brand on who you are now. Base your personal brand on who you aspire to be. And that could well be the audacious version of yourself way in the future, or it could be the one this time next year, you know, but work towards an identity that you know is something that you yourself can be proud of, and who you want people to see you as. You know, I think it's so important, because we all have, you know, we all fall short and we are continually going to be falling short. But there are some things that we could do to ensure that no, this is who I am. This is who I want to be seen as. So I do my values. I choose about 5 or 6 values, probably about every 90 days, every 6 months. They're usually very similar, the values, but sometimes the one at the top will change. So integrity is really important to me. So that's always in there. Sometimes it's at the top, sometimes it might be the third or even the fifth one down, but it's still quite important. Health might be at the top. So where health is important as my personal brand, I'm not going to tell people yes when really I want to tell them no, because that's going to affect my health and it's going to cause stress on me that I do not need. So if I'm stressed, that means that is going to come out in different areas of my life and affect people around me. So if that means I'm going to become irritable, I don't want to be seen as irritable. I don't want people to know me as the one who's irritable. So what are the things that you can do that you can protect? What are values to me are your non-negotiables. So have non-negotiables. Always, again, start with your values, because remember, your personal brand is who you want to identify with. It's your identity, the habits that you're going to start growing and developing to become that identity. Because remember, until you know who you are, you can't make a vision for where you're going.
That's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
You
know, for those of you that are in the UK, you know, Waitrose is associated with good quality produce. You know, Sainsbury's the same thing, M&S the same thing, Aldi and Lidl associated with value for money. So, you know, there was a time when it was associated with being cheap, but as things have moved on, their identity, their brand is more about value. You get more for your money, you get valuable products. You know, so it's important that when you're thinking about your brand, think about it in that light. What do you want to be associated with, you know, in terms of when people see you? And if you're not right there now, you're a work in progress. Like, you know, the example I've given, Aldi initially was a cheap shop. You know, they said people low class, which is really silly, but low class, you know, working class people go there to buy food. It was really, really cheap. Now everyone goes there. Everyone, you know, it's cut across classes because now they're looked at value for money. So that's like you're a person, you're in, you know, a work in progress. And the last thing we've got a minute and we're going to round up. And that's to do with your purpose.
Okay. So your purpose, again, once you know who you are, firstly, you know where you're going, you understand what your purpose is. You're going to get closer to understanding what your purpose is. You've done the work on self-awareness. Remember, you're getting feedback from people around you. You've worked out what your non-negotiables are in terms of your value. And now it's really understanding your purpose. And I always do this exercise when you kind of like look at the things that you're currently doing, the things that you enjoy, even your characteristics, and I say, is there any conflict across any of those areas? You know, and I did this with a client once, and what she recognized was she used to travel a lot all over the world. She used to travel to the US, she used to travel to Ghana, she used to travel across to Europe. But when she was looking at what are the things that she really enjoys and, you know, time passes her by, it was like reading a book at home in her bed, you know. So it made her suddenly recognize, I don't want to be traveling all over the world anymore. I like the comfort of my own home. I want to spend less time. So sometimes again, it's that self-awareness. Sometimes we have to work out what's important to us and what's going to make us happy, not have that burning feeling of fire thinking, I've done that because I have to, but now I'm so angry and upset with myself inside because it no longer serves me. And the other thing about purpose as well, sometimes your purpose can be so big, like it could be like world domination to change the world, and it may not happen within your lifetime. So you have to be at peace with that. It's like a legacy that you are setting up for it to happen, and to build, or we call it brick by brick. So these are things that you need to, again, really look at. Spend time in self-reflection. So that's what I would just like to say, end with on purpose. So just remember, put all the three together. It will lead to your purpose. But remember, you may not see your purpose come to fruition. Do not beat yourself up about it. Set the foundation, allow it to grow, and allow that to be your memory when you are long and gone.
Oh, this is amazing, amazing. I could listen to you forever and ever and ever. You know, time goes really, really fast when you're having fun, you know, and we've just scratched the purpose. But like my wonderful, phenomenal guest, Althea Blake, has said, brick by brick, brick by brick. Think about legacy. Think about what, you know, you might not see everything in your lifetime, but be conscious of how you show up. Be conscious about your identity, not what you want people to see, but what you really are. Because what you really are, if there are areas that you don't like, you can work on it. You can work on refining it. But if you're not being self-aware, if you're not doing the work, if you're not, like you know, Althea said earlier on, you can't do this alone. If you're not doing the work, you won't know. So do the work, find out what's not quite right, and get it done so that you can brick by brick do what you need to do. But also for the future behind us, who Althea actually works with, you know, the young people, you know, they watch not just what we say, but how we do it and how we show up. Thank you so much, Althea. It's been a great pleasure. It's been a blast having you. I hope you loved my tea. I saw you just, you know, drinking it down. You know, I think next time I need to hide my tea bags, but you know. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast. And for those of you who are watching on LinkedIn, on YouTube, you know, I'm not Facebook at the moment. I'm still hacked, still trying to resolve that. But wherever it is that you're watching me from, on Spotify, you're listening to the audio, thank you so much for being part of this journey. Episode 20, a cup of tea with me, Dr. Z. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Althea.
Thank you.
Wow. What a day. What a lovely show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to A Cup of Reinvention Queen. We hope you've been motivated and inspired to go out there and conquer any obstacles and issues you may face. You can find Dr. Zena on all social platforms. Until next time, remember, you're not alone.